Welcome back to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And this is part 2 of Places We've Been, Scotland.
Places we've been.
You've been wondering where part 2 is going to be, and it usually follows on from the part 1, but it didn't. No, it didn't.
We just kept you all hanging on.
Keep me hanging on. Good old Lou Reed there. We left you all at Glasgow, didn't we?
Yes.
Glasgow, yes.
Yes. I think we were at the bus station and we had just left Glasgow.
Yeah, what happened
for
at the
Inverness.
bus station? There was something that happened at the bus station, wasn't there?
I don't know. I think it just kept getting, or it was threatening to delay, or the bus next to us was delayed.
Yeah.
People were getting annoyed.
People were getting very annoyed, because of the delays.
Nothing happened to us.
Nothing happened to us. We didn't get TikToked or anything. But yes, the TikTok ban.
I just saw the funniest video on TikTok, guys. I'm sorry.
The TikTok
I was just sitting here crying, laughing, because it's just, TikTok is so good. And I just watched a video from looked like a little teenage boy singing about how Gen Z will save TikTok. And it was a little improvised dance.
Improv.
It was a little
performance
art, musical theater. It was just everything. He was in his jammies. It was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yes.
And yeah, I've just been laughing and crying for ages because it was so good. Anyway, I digress.
We digress, yes. I just had to bring that up because she was laughing her head about
yes, my voice is like...
She's like, ha ha, that guy!
Anyway. So then we headed out to Inverness on the bus.
On the bus. Tell us about the bus trip for you.
Okay.
How did you find it?
Well, we had to do the bus, didn't we? Because there's no train that went from Glasgow to Inverness. Or did you just choose the bus?
There is a train that goes from Glasgow to Inverness, but I just chose the bus because I thought, it's going to be more, you can see more than you do on the train.
It was a CityLinks bus operated by Megabus.
Megabus, yeah.
Wasn't it? It was Megabus, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was a CityLinks one.
Yeah. Or it was a Megabus operated by CityLinks. One or the other. It was a double-decker.
They've got the public transport kind of screwed on tight up in Scotland, I think. It's quite good. You know, compared to, like, Wales and England. Yeah. Where it's a little bit haphazard.
Oh, I know. You chose the bus. The train was going to be, like, they were both took about the same amount of time.
Same amount of time, but I thought, it's, I want you to see the Highlands, as going up into the Highlands and stuff like that. And thought if we can get up on the bus... I think
it was quite a bit cheaper as well.
It was yeah, I mean, the trains are quite expensive in the UK,
They can be. I mean, they can be, sometimes not.
Well, we had... It's best to get one of those. That's a pro tip, is to get a, discount card, which you can... 2 for 1 or something like that? It was like...
or not, 2 together.
2 together it was.
That's it, yeah.
So you can travel. And they've got family ones as well if you're travelling with, a group of 5 or more. So any rail...
prices?
Rail prices that you look for, they'll be significantly discounted. Maybe a third off or something.
And always check, the app and the website, because sometimes the price is cheaper on one versus the other. Oh,
that's right, yeah.
And it's not always not always cheaper on the app, and it's not always cheaper on the website. The prices differ website to app.
I think they were trying to get us to use the app, and we were using this app called TrainPal. Mm-hmm. And I was originally going to use Trainline because about 15 odd years ago, Trainline was it. It was so cheap when prices, you go to the ticket shop, or the ticket booth in a train station, and they charge you full whack there.
Yeah.
So I need a, single to London or whatever, and it'd be okay, that's 300 quid, please. If you go on the website, it would be 90.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I think it's still like that too. It's much cheaper.
Yeah, it's much cheaper.
It's much more expensive you can actually get on the train. Door. Just show up at the train station. This is a kind of cool thing though, is if you're somebody who just has all the money in the world and is able to just like, you know what, I want to take the train up to wherever today, you can literally just go and get on the train and buy a ticket on the train.
Yeah, you can.
But yeah, we saw a guy doing that.
Yeah, but that's only at certain stations.
Oh, you can't do it everywhere?
Like at the major ones, like in London and stuff, they have ticket barriers. You've got to have
a
ticket
that's
to get
right.
onto
Yes.
the platform.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can buy just a platform ticket for some weird... I've heard of that before, people buying platform tickets.
I guess if you want to say goodbye to somebody on the platform, you want to go and wait with
And that's
them.
about 30 quid, you know? It's like 30 quid to say goodbye or, you know, whatever. But yeah... there's a few stations that don't have ticket barriers.
Yeah.
And so you can just walk on and you can get on the train.
There's a lot of stations that don't have ticket barriers. Yeah.
Like the rural ones. Usually. Like Bristol did.
But in the big cities. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
They do, you know, and you'll have to like vault them when security isn't looking to get on the platform.
Yeah, Chester did. All the big train stations. Yeah,
and
that's
Chester
right.
wouldn't let us through. I remember we arrived at Chester just going...
Yeah, we had tickets.
Ahead a little bit. We arrived at Chester and it wouldn't take, I think. And I was like, it's today. What's going on? And I was like, oh, you're here too early.
Yeah.
You know? You're here too early. It won't let you through.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Okay, we can't go wait on the platform and we've got... Here's our ticket.
I guess it's like a security issue thing.
Yeah, or limited seating, I guess.
Well,
limited space.
That's true. Limited space and seating on the platform.
Safety, probably. They just don't want it to fill up and then somebody falls on the tracks, you know?
Yes, because that's always happening.
I mean, it is, unfortunately.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So you can do that if it's a station that doesn't have ticket barriers. How do you know before you get there if it has ticket barriers or not? I don't know.
You're gonna have to Google it. Yeah, because there are other people who go, oh, does Shrewsbury have ticket barriers?
Yeah.
Yes or no, you know. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, so we
got the bus. We
were really like, Dominic really wanted to sit at the top, on the top deck, you know, on the upper level.
Well, we'd be over the hedgerows then.
So
you could
yes,
see things.
Yeah. So we were kind of like trying to position ourselves so that we could be like one of the first people let on the bus, so that we could have the prime choice of where to sit. Because with the bus tickets, there's not assigned seating, is there?
No, and this was kind of like the CityLink bus was. It was kind of like your bog standard double-decker bus. It wasn't really like a coach, like what the coach that we took from Inverness to Ullapool. That was more like a fancier kind of coach, you know.
Yeah,
that was like a coach tour, but a bus is.
Oh yes, yeah.
What we call like a bus is like it's a little bit more informal.
Yeah.
You know? If that's the right word for it, it's a little bit less...
It's like a city bus.
It's like a city bus.
It's like buses that they have, that you would catch within a city, you know, from to one stop to the other. Yeah, it was like that. It was fine. It was clean. It wasn't like, you know, run down or dirty or gross or anything.
Yeah.
So we were able to do that. They do want you to put your bags under, if at all possible, like, unless they're pretty small. Like, we had a bag we were going to keep with us, and he was just kind of like, oh, you can put it under here, you know, like,
put it under the
just
coach,
to save space, I guess, in the bus, which is fine. Was not a problem for us.
Yeah.
But in doing that, you kind of lose your spot in line to get on the actual bus, because you have to go.
Some people had literally got just backpacks.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have, you know.
Yeah, or just like a little shoulder, just a little shoulder
ready
bag.
to go on, you know.
Yeah. So anyway, we were able to do it, and we scored.
We got up there, yeah. We got a pretty good seat. You were at the
front row, yeah. Front row seat, just over the driver, pretty much. The two seats right over the driver. And the awesome thing about being on that top level is, of course, there's a windshield pretty much like...
Well, it's the entire like width of the bus.
What is it? 180 views, right?
Yeah, it's
one whole...
Yeah.
And a little bit more than 180, because then on the sides of you have the windows too, and there's just a little thing. It's just like panoramic views.
It's a panoramic view, yeah.
With no just no obstructions really, just little pieces in between the two windows on the sides. And so it was just so good. I was just like, oh, this is going to be good. We can see a lot of things. I didn't know for sure what I was going to see, but I was like, whatever it is, I'm going to see it.
We drove up through, like, the heart of Scotland, really.
Yeah.
Because, it goes from Glasgow and then it goes to Perth. And it stops off on the way to pick people up and drop people off. Because some people aren't all going up to the Highlands. They're going to somewhere else,
Yeah.
But mainly it'll go to Perth, and that's like a major bus station. And then it'll carry on up through the Highlands. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know if there's like a sign or anything that tells you when you're in the Highlands. But when we reached Pitlochry, that's when I realised, oh yeah, we're getting close now.
Was that before Inverness?
That was before Inverness, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The bus takes a little bit longer than the train.
Yeah, because
so if you're like impatient, maybe you don't want to ride the bus, but...
and if you don't care about looking at scenery
the train stops a million times as well, but the stops are not as long as the bus stops are, because, again, they have to get people's luggage on and off.
Yeah.
But it was not a problem. We were not in, like, such a hurry, and you can save quite a bit of money. I don't remember. Do you remember offhand how much it was from Glasgow to Inverness?
I don't actually know, but it was infinitely cheaper than the train.
One of the bus rides we took,
it might have been £16 actually.
Oh, I was gonna say, that was
£16.
I think
each.
that was from Inverness to Edinburgh. It was £16 total.
Was it?
Yeah.
Maybe it was £16 each way.
Oh, that might have been from Inverness to Ullapool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was, one of the trips was £16 total for the two of us.
Yeah.
Which is just outrageous. So yeah, when we're driving through, I can't say that name.
Pitlochry.
Pitlochry,
yeah, it's
we started pulling up because the scenes, you guys,
absolute scenes. The absolute Harry Potter nonsense in real life.
Yeah. Yes, I was just like, as soon as we left Glasgow,
and we were out like on the road in the country.
It was just like, it's like the second we left Glasgow, everything was mystical, magical, just like, and I said to Dominic, what in the name of Harry Potter kind of nonsense? Like, what? Where am I right now? Because it was just so fake. It was so...
Looks fake.
It was so beautiful. Just like beautiful. Everything was beautiful. The mountains and the trees. And it was just like, oh my God. Because one thing that I kind of complain about in England and in Wales is when you're on the roads, you know, being American, you hear about like, the English countryside, it's so lovely. And it is absolutely gorgeous. But when you're driving on the roads, and especially if you're on the highway, well, the highway is just like American highways. They're huge, they're wide. You don't really see a lot of scenery because there's trees on the sides and there's just traffic. And then when you're on the smaller roads, there's usually like hedges that come
2 lanes of traffic, and which is oncoming, like
going and coming. Yeah.
With no median.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And then you're kind of mazed in by a hedge.
Yeah. Either hedges or like rock walls.
Because they've dug they've dug the road, and they've, like, the farmland is like higher than the road,
Yeah.
So, and it's like people go, why do they do that? Well, it's like, it's just time. It's just basically, at the end of the day, it's like, people think, it's just for the cattle and to stop the sheep getting out and all that. It's like, it's more to stop people going in, really, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Whatever the reason, you can't see anything.
You can't see anything because they built up these hedgerows.
The hedges and the rock walls, they're usually taller than your car or like where you're sitting, then you can see out. You can see in the distance a bit if there's, like, hills.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot. And then when you're on the train, you do have a lot more views on the train. But again, on the sides of the track, the sides of the railway, there's trees.
Yeah.
There's just lines and lines of trees. So all of a sudden you'll see some really, like, beautiful, picturesque, like, scenes. And, like, oh my God, it looks just gorgeous. It's like a painting, you know. And you get your camera out to take a picture. And then it's just trees for the next half hour, you know.
Yeah,
it's just
close
like
trees, yeah.
all you can see are trees. Yeah, it's just, it's very frustrating as a tourist anyway. I mean, I'm sure the people who live, like, on the other side of those trees appreciate not having to see the trains passing by. And I'm sure that's part of the reason that the walls and the hedges exist, too, in the countryside. It's just privacy.
It's to dampen sound
It's a dampened sound. It's, you know, it's convenience for the people who live there, but it's an inconvenience for tourists like me, so...
But we got up to the top deck on that bus and you managed to see quite a bit.
Yes. Oh God, it was just
absolutely.
Usually I'm kind of like, especially when we're traveling, because you know you're tired, you've been walking around, walking, and you're just going everywhere and you're just exhausted, you know. And I can kind of be like a baby in a moving vehicle. I just go to sleep. But I was just like...
Yeah, she just goes to sleep.
I was just like, I could not go to sleep. I was just looking.
Yeah, you stayed awake quite well on that.
Yeah,
whole thing.
you were like, I can't believe it. You stayed awake. I was like, I know. I couldn't sleep because it was just so much to look at. It was just so beautiful. And I think I filmed and took a lot of pictures, maybe more video than pictures. And I was just like, no one is going to want to watch this because, like...
It's, yeah.
You know, it was just so much. It was like, how, you know, we can't make a video using all of this because it's literally just us driving. It's just like, is anyone going to sit and want to see all of this except for me, you know? But it was so beautiful. And then we arrived at Inverness. Oh, no. First we went through Pitlochry. And as we were pulling into this, because like I said, we had to stop at several little towns along the way, which I don't mind because it's just like I'm getting to see towns then, you know. But this one, when we were pulling in, it just looks like you've gone back in time. Like, it was like the Cotswolds in England, only the whole little village was like gray stone, and everything just looked like, I don't know if it's medieval. I don't know if it's a medieval one. It didn't necessarily look that old, I guess, but
they've done it up. It looks like a chocolate box town.
It was gorgeous. There were people absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, it's a tourist spot.
Yeah, loads and loads of tourists.
We pulled in, and you know, a bunch of people got off.
Oh yeah,
and you know, but you could see in like the town. There was a load of people there, and it was pretty good weather. We were kind of blessed with pretty good weather on the journeys. Mm-hmm. I think.
But yeah, there were loads of tourists. I think there looked like to be a bunch of little like pubs and shops and stuff. So there was a lot of tourists. I cannot imagine like in the dead of summer it must be like
heaving. Absolutely heaving.
But I was like, okay, you know, take out my little notebook and jot down, like, this is definitely somewhere I want to come back because it was so cute, and you have never mentioned that place to me.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever been there, really.
But you hear about the Cotswolds all the time, you know, as it's a destination, and it's kept very, like, because at this Pitlochry, right, it was just like the Cotswolds, like, there was I didn't see any Asda or, like, any, like, anything that looked modern. No, it all just looked like old. Like, yeah. And I'm just like, how come? But I don't know. It looks like a perfect, like a film set. Like, you would think that you heard everybody talking about it before, or like all the YouTube travel vloggers like go in there. But no, I've never seen anybody.
It's quite touristy.
Yeah,
I think that's why they avoid it. Because, I mean, they assume everyone in Britain knows about it, or Scotland.
And do they?
I mean, I presume I've
never heard of it. It's so good. Guys, look it up. It's
I don't think I've ever been there, like, on holiday or anything, but I knew about it, you know.
Yeah.
So.
So then we left there. I don't know all the towns that we stopped in.
We just kind of like meandered the way up, and then there was like
waterfalls
and mountains,
little streams and lakes or lochs and mountains, and the scenery would just change, and we'd be in forest, just like a really deep forest, and it was just so fairy tale-ish. I just couldn't believe it. It was very, very different from, which we haven't ever, and still we didn't this trip go to like the Lake District or the Peak District in Britain. I'm kind of thinking that maybe they're a little bit similar vibes, but up to that point I had never seen anywhere in Britain that looked like this. It was just it was just unbelievable, really. And then we arrived in Inverness, which Dominic had said to me, like, I don't know, just I wasn't really expecting it to be much for whatever reason.
Well, because I downplayed it. Because as a kid, it was kind of like, you don't really look at that kind of thing when you're a kid. You just see a town, you just think,
yeah.
It's kind of dour.
He compared it to, and this isn't going to mean anything to any of you guys.
Unless you're from...
He compared it to Amarillo, Texas to me, which is like, it's like the capital... It's the capital, is it?
It's like
of the
Highlands, yeah.
It's the capital of the Highlands. It's like the biggest town in the Highlands, but it's not a very big town. It's like a small town. It's a bit...
Well, it's a city, technically.
Yeah. So Amarillo is like the biggest city being in quotation marks, in the Texas Panhandle. So he's like, it's like Amarillo. It's like Amarillo to, the small towns in the Texas Panhandle. And so I'm like, okay. And to be fair, when we pulled in, because the way the bus brought us was sort of like in like the back of the around the back of the
door.
Yeah, it was. It felt like that, didn't it? It felt like we went into the back door of the town, and the bus station was back here, and like the little shops and restaurants around there were like Pizza Hut, and like it did just look kind of
like Amarillo. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, all right, well, we're just staying the night here, so it's fine, We took our bags to the little B&B that we were staying in, which was just within walking distance of where the bus
and everything
of the bus station.
It was a nice place too. It was very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't sure because the reviews of this place were like that the people who ran it were a little bit odd or something.
A little bit rude and
called
just the police and all this kind of stuff. And we were just kind of like, okay. But they were fine.
We were like, well, the price is good, so let's risk
We didn't get the police called on us, so we were all right.
And we got there, and she showed us up to our room, which is just a room in their literal house. I think they lived in, like, the basement or the bottom floor.
The bottom floor, yeah.
Or the bottom floor, meaning the first floor.
Yeah.
And the first floor in the American sense of the word. The ground floor, yeah. They lived there, and then the rooms that they rented out were on the next level, and so she took us up there, and it was a very comfortable little room with a attached bathroom. It had a little tea station where she's like little biscuits she left us there, and I think bags of crisps too.
Bags of crisps, yeah, I ate them as soon as we got there.
And it was decorated very, very nice, and it was just like clean, and it was fine. And we were like, okay, what? Like the reviews were a bit kind of, some of them were a bit crazy.
Yeah, obviously it was like
people expecting something else, I guess, whatever. But it was absolutely fine. Everything was fine. We had no complaints. So we dropped our stuff off, and we went into town. And I was like, but still, like that street even kind of looked like other places I'd seen in Britain. So I was a little bit like, we did pass like on the way to get to this place, we did pass like kind of like a American style shopping center across the way. And so it was like, all right, well, it's just like
Amarillo.
It's just like the town. Well, it's just like the town that we were staying in Wales. You know,
Yeah.
It's just fine. But still, I've never been here. Let's go see it. So we walked back toward town, back through the back door of town, like where we had been dropped off, and then literally there's like some sort of entryway, like a gate, do you guys play Hogwarts Legacy where you go through these archways and like things are different on one side than they are on the other side?
I don't think it was exactly like that. But if you're a Hogwarts Legacy fan, yeah, you'll know what they're talking about. A little like world gate. You know,
there's literally like little hallway kind of thing you would walk through, like between the buildings or whatever it was. And it was like it opened up, and all of a sudden there was this like what they call in Britain a high street.
Yeah.
And everything's like super old looking, and just hustle and bustle, and you can hear someone playing the freaking bagpipes just a little ways off.
Oh yeah, there was a piper on one of the hotels.
And all the buildings are so super cute, and there's old churches, and I was just like, what? I was like, this is so freaking cute. Like, the vibes were just so good.
So cute.
And so we just kind of followed the street down, and we kept walking, and then there's a freaking river down at the end of the
the
street.
River Ness, yeah. Because it's close to the Loch Ness.
Yeah.
We didn't go there though.
Hence Inverness.
Inverness, yeah. So it's in from Ness. You know?
Oh, is that what it means?
I mean, that's what it, Invergordon, Inverness,
Yeah, so if we had ridden that river, we would have ended up in Loch Ness, would we?
Yeah.
It goes to Loch Ness?
Yeah.
So Nessie could have been in that river for all we knew.
We didn't see her.
We didn't see her, no.
You didn't see her.
And my mom was really annoyed because we didn't go to Loch Ness.
We didn't have the time, unfortunately. It was a very kind of like whistle-stop tour.
We could have, but we would have needed to we would have needed to stay another day in Inverness.
Yes.
Which is my fault. Well, it's kind of Dominic's fault because of the way he portrayed Inverness to me. I thought, okay, well, there's not going to be much to see. We're not going to really need to stay, but just overnight, and then we can move on. But no, we could have definitely stayed a whole day. Like, there were people eating outside, and there was some kind of
the
dance
really
party
nice.
in a pub, and they were playing music. I mean, it was absolutely freaking packed. People were in the doorway. There were so many people that were in there. I was like, and they were playing like this traditional Scottish music. Everybody was having a great time. I was like, this is the freaking place. This is so good. The river was gorgeous. We got there kind of just at golden hour, so maybe that imprinted on my brain, like how beautiful the place was.
It was golden hour, yeah. Because there's like a little castle, the Inverness Castle up there as well, which looks pretty good in golden hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then the light on the river, and it was very good weather. Yeah, and there was a lot of Americans there.
Yeah, there were.
And I was just like, God, they're everywhere now.
There was a lot of Americans.
You wouldn't think that they know about this place.
Yeah.
But they're up there, and of course they were up there because they're searching, because of the Great Nessie Hunt.
Yeah, I think maybe just the previous week, even.
Yeah. So
they had just held, like, the largest search for Nessie that they'd ever had in history, and so it was just, like, a lot of people had traveled there for that, and I guess maybe we're still there when we got there.
Yeah,
there was a lot of merch in the...
I heard some guy saying, I'm going to go back tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Head back down to London tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, we heard a lot of American accents. We went in some of the little, like, souvenir-y shops and things to just, like, have a look around. And everywhere we went in, you could hear Americans talking to each other. It was just like being here.
Well, yes. Yes, it was. I mean, and it was, we just walked the river. We did a little exploration, and
we went across one bridge and down the river and then back across the other bridge and
came back.
There was like a little, like, I don't know, like a little village within the town that we kind of walked around where they had a little park, and it was just like, I don't know, it was really pretty. But yeah, all the pubs and everything were super busy, and I felt like there was probably a lot more to see than what we got to see, but we just mostly did that and kind of went and looked at some of the wool places that were selling like your tartan, if you know which tartan is your family's, and you could, have something made or whatever.
Yes.
Which is cool. I mean, that's cool. You thought, oh god, it's so touristy,
It is, yes. I mean, when you're from there, just like, yeah, this is a tourist.
Yeah.
Some of the prices here are very touristy, but again.
And then I think we wanted to eat somewhere, and because #Britain, everything was like closing.
About 5 o'clock. It was golden hour, wasn't it? They wanted to go see the golden hour.
And so it was just like, God, all right, we need to find somewhere to eat. And so we went in a Pizza Express.
Pizza Express, that was the only thing that we could, like, think about. Like, oh, yeah, that seems like the only place. Because I wanted to kind of, like, not out. Because we'd been doing, this whole trip, we'd been doing the Tesco meal deal. Oh, let's go to Tesco, get a meal deal, and go back to the hotel.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've talked to you guys about the meal deals.
And before we went, you were trying to, like, budget. You were like, oh, no, we're not going to be eating out too much because it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, I was like, eating out is going to be our most expensive thing.
There won't be any. And so we're going to have to, because in some of the places that we're going, we're not going to have, like, cooking facilities or anything like that,
Well, yeah.
And she goes, oh, what are we going to eat then? It's a meal deal. And you were very unsure about it, because I was trying to sell you the idea of a meal deal, and you were like, nah.
Because I was like 10 days of constant travel, and we're going to have to be paying for transportation between each place, which ended up being, like, very, very reasonable. And we're going to have to pay for places to stay, which we ended up finding some freakishly good deals there, too.
Yes.
And I was like, so really, our food is going to be the most expensive places. So if we can find places that give us breakfast, that include breakfast in the place, then that'll be good. Which I think we did. A few of the places we stayed.
Yeah.
Included breakfast. And that'll cut out the cost of one meal. And then we can just do some meal deals, and we'll just eat out every once in a while. Because the eating out is going to can get expensive. You know? It can be very expensive. If you're going for a sit-down
meal every night, it's going to rack up.
Yeah. Oh, and I can't do, like, I mean, we could have done, like, McDonald's. They have McDonald's and everything everywhere, but you can't just eat that every day. It's just like, ugh.
So I was like, oh, well,
The meal deals are a lot better of an option where you can get, like, fresh things, and we did utilize that a lot.
Because you were like, oh, it's a prepackaged sandwich. Oh, I don't like that. Gas station food. It's going to go like gas station food. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Because I've been here and I know what gas station food is. No, this is something that's very popular, so they've had to kind of, like, I'm not going to say it's the best quality in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I know somebody who got really sick off of a gas station sandwich, and it just, like, traumatized me from ever. But they do, I mean, the food, the meal deal sandwiches and stuff, they don't last.
They don't
last long enough to go bad.
So there's a good turnover on them. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you go to Tesco or something, they're right there by the front door, and people it's for people who are working, or just, and they've come in on their lunch break, and they're just like, oh, just grab a thing, some crisps, a chocolate bar, and a drink or whatever, and that's it.
And I can get tired of sandwiches, so I was like, oh, the meal deals are gonna get
on my nerves.
They're a good price, but I'm gonna get tired of that after a while, But they have other options, and
they have, like, pasta and salad,
like a chicken salad, or like a pasta, like a caprese kind of pasta, or something, like fresh kind of things, and you can get like that, and then a bag of crisps or a candy bar, or they have healthier things like a boiled egg or
or a salad,
or like a little thing of like feta and tomatoes, and like a little feta salad kind of thing, or they've got, I mean, really the options are kind of endless, so you can mix it up quite a bit. A yogurt, you can get a yogurt.
The basic one is like £3.50.
Yes.
So that's your
so the two of us can, and they're filling.
Crisps, and that's like that's a lunch to
That's
people.
great for
and
lunch.
You couldn't find that for a lunch here, could you, really?
No.
For like $3.50.
And you can get some really good drinks. Like, they have some really good drink options, too. It's not like just a soda or a bottle of water. Like, they've got all different kinds of juices, smoothies, like...
Oh, you were getting that innocent smoothies, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those that came under scrutiny for a while, but they
I
are
think
pretty
so,
good.
yeah.
They are pretty good. I think it was because of price and stuff they came under scrutiny.
I think it was because of some of the additives they had in them. Yeah.
Additives, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they taste really good. But yeah, you can get all of that. So the more expensive ones are like $5 a person, which really, you could probably get something at McDonald's for that price. I say $5, £5.
Yeah.
I guess you could get, like, off of the value menu, probably a little burger and fries and a little drink for $5, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I'm not sure.
But again, you get tired of that. You want something a bit more fresh sometimes. And so the meal deals are just...
Yeah, the sandwiches,
so good.
It's usually stuff like...
so the two of us can eat for, like, £7.
Yes. And that's, that's practically unheard of sometimes. But it was good. It was a good, cheap way to keep us going.
Mm-hmm. And then we could afford to, like...
I was like, see, I told you. And then like, oh my God, I can get so much. I can get this. Can I do this? Oh.
And then we could afford to eat in a restaurant whenever,
so Pizza Express was it. That was our restaurant, yeah.
That was the one we chose.
It wasn't that.
It was like wah. It was alright. Yeah. It was not great for the price.
Remember. I think I got the Prince Andrew special or something.
No, we just got like a pepperoni pizza. I just got it.
You just got it.
I think we got a pepperoni pizza, and I don't know if we got something else. They made it, so it wasn't like bad like the Italian place that we ate at in Eton. It wasn't like a frozen pizza that they heated up.
That was a Dr. Oetker, and they've somehow flew in McDonald's French fries.
They had made it, but it was just pepperoni. Like, there was nothing else on it. It was just a pepperoni pizza, and it was quite expensive for the size, from what I remember.
It wasn't really worth it. Pizza Express is great, but it's kind of like the Pizza Hut of the UK,
But it was like... It looked like it was kind of fancy in there, and then it was just like... Yeah. The prices were a bit expensive for what it was, in my opinion. It's just like, okay,
they're trying to cash in on when Pizza Hut used to be a fancy
restaurant. Think about the size of pepperoni pizza we can get from Costco for $9.99 compared to that little tiny pepperoni pizza we got at
Pizza we need to do
Express.
That this weekend, maybe. Get a Costco pizza for $9.99.
So yeah, that kind of annoys me. I mean, I do not mind. I know I come across as just the cheapest person alive, and I am cheap. I'm frugal. Okay, the word is frugal.
The word is frugal.
I don't mind paying high prices if the quality is there. But what I don't like is paying high prices for, number one, something I could very easily make for much, much less at home.
Yeah.
Or, like, paying high prices for something that is, like, not that satisfying, you know what I mean? Like, it's not so delicious or so high quality or whatever that it warrants that price. That's where I get, like, annoyed, and I'm just like, oh, God, no. And it puts me in a bad mood then. I'm just like, oh. So, anyway, it was all right. It was all right at Pizza Express. Yeah. I wouldn't go back.
I wouldn't go back. Wouldn't do it anymore.
I wouldn't. No, I would not. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it. We were like, we wanted to get back to the room fairly early because...
we were only going to do like a night in Ullapool.
Yeah, but our bus left like at the absolute crack of dawn, so...
Yeah, it's like an hour trip from Inverness to Ullapool, and it's quite windy.
Yeah, so
you did fall asleep on that one, actually.
No.
Didn't you?
Nope. So we wanted to get back to the room, and we had our Timbits from Tim Hortons from Glasgow.
They made the trip with us.
Yeah, that we had gotten that morning. So we were like, oh, let's go back to the room and we'll have a cup of tea and we'll try these Timbits from Tim Hortons.
They were better fresh. So I'd say they were good, but
we hope they were better fresh.
Yes.
We're getting to Tim Hortons here in Austin, guys. We're so excited.
It's coming like tomorrow, isn't it? No, I think they're going to take. I think
it's not until like the fall.
They're
or something.
expanding rapidly. They want to like open like 10 stores in Austin or something. I don't know who they're taking over. Maybe Dunkin'.
But yeah, so the Timbits were not great by the evening. We were both eating them and we were like, oh, I'm not very impressed with this. Oh, what's this flavor? Ooh, that sounds good. Bite it. Yeah. But then we decided that it was probably just because they were no longer like fresh.
We should have eaten them because they were almost a day old at that point.
Well, we had gotten them that morning. And I would have thought that they still should have been okay, but by
all
the
preservatives. It's like you get something fresh and eat it, it's good,
I don't know. We'll try it again sometime and find out.
Yes. So yes, the next morning.
Yeah.
After that. It was we slept well, didn't we?
We got up at the crack of dawn. We slept all right.
Yeah.
We got up at the crack of dawn and we went to the... Yes. Well, do you remember I forgot I left my earrings laying on the bed. We had to go through this tunnel to get, back into town, I guess, where the...
went back, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because I was walking quite fine. You were like, my earrings, and you rushed back.
I was like, I left my earrings on the bed.
Because I thought, how did we get back in? But you went back and you must have knocked the door or something.
No, I think it was just still open.
So you managed to go up and into the room and
I just ran there and grabbed my... Yeah. I ran all the way...
I just took, had our bags and stuff, so, just like stood in the tunnel waiting for you. Because I was like, we've got to get here, because it's...
Yeah. So we went and we caught our bus. We were there before it got there.
Oh,
so
it
was fine.
It was fine, yeah.
We caught our bus, and then this bus was not double-decker, right?
No, it was just a long coach.
It was just, it was a coach, and it was, like, air-conditioned / heated, and very comfortable seats, and all of that kind of thing. And, once again, we wanted to be the first ones on so we could pick our seats.
Yeah. But, we got the front, so you could see out the driver's window, yeah.
So we got the seats, like, almost right next to the driver.
Almost, yeah.
Like in the row behind, but next to him rather than behind him. And he's like playing country music.
Yes, he had country music on. I was like, oh.
I
told you this was like Amarillo.
I'm sorry if you guys are country music fans. I don't hate country music, but it is definitely not my genre of choice. And so just the idea of like, oh God, because it was not quiet. I mean, he wasn't blasting it, but...
It was his own personal playlist.
Yes. Yeah. And there was one particular song that I had heard here before we left that was just like getting on my last nerve. And sure enough, that song came on the playlist. I was like, oh, for God's sake. And...
I can't remember what was that?
Oh, I don't know. Goodness.
The Back Roads or something.
No, I can't remember.
Oh, no, maybe not.
And I just said to him, I said, you're making me feel like I'm back at home with this playlist where we've come over here from Texas. He said, oh, have you? And he was like, oh, yeah, I had some people from America, and they said they really liked my playlist. And I was like,
oh, yeah, this is good music.
Yeah.
Excuse good music, son. Keep playing it.
Oh, the other day I had some people from America. They really liked my playlist. I was like, oh, good for them. He was very, very nice. I seem to think he talked to us a few times.
Yeah, he was from Invergordon. Real Scottish.
Yeah, but
real Highland man. And so he was listening to his country music.
Yes, and I was just thinking, and he goes, "Oh, it's good for driving. It makes a good driving playlist."
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, what other kind of music really does go with like the scenery here, you know? And I guess so. I guess country music, like, unless, remember he had, like, in the playlist, there was some, like, traditional Scottish song.
There was a couple of traditional Scottish music.
And I thought that was cute. I was like, I'd much rather listen to this.
It was, like, traditional Scottish, and there was some, Scottish pop, I guess, if you call, like, alternative Scottish
Oh, yeah.
stuff, you know, like they'd reworked some tunes, you know, kind of like the stomp and shout.
Oh, yeah. Chant and
stomp
and chant.
Stomp and chant, yeah, you know, like Mumford and Son type things, you know.
That would have gone.
Yes.
Yeah, like play some Mumford and Sons.
But no, he's obviously into. He's always very easy listening.
He was singing along. He was singing his heart out.
Yeah, he was singing along to a lot of them. I was like, yeah, this guy's moving to Amarillo to do the Amarillo Bulga route.
He was well into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, we got the panoramic views of the drive there.
Yeah.
And again, it just kept getting like more beautiful and more beautiful. The funny thing is like how quickly the landscape can change though. Like the mountains one second will be so green and covered in trees, and then the next second there's like
a little bit barren.
Very barren. And it's just like everything's like brown all of a sudden. Not in like a dreary, like, you know, gloomy kind of way, but it's just completely different. And it's just like, wait a minute, where did all the trees go? Like, what is going on? And one of Dominic's family members said that they're not technically tall enough to be mountains, but to me, they were mountains.
Yeah, they were big.
Just huge mountains, yeah. And it was worth every bit of the price of the bus ticket just for the views. Yeah. Like, you know, we could...
I think maybe that was £16, or maybe it was £10.
I would have paid that for just, like, the tour. You know, if we were not traveling, like, if we were just out for a drive, just to be being shown these scenes, like, it was worth that price. I think that one was the one that was £16.
Yeah.
It was worth it. It was just so beautiful. It was unbelievable. And so then we arrived in Ullapool, and I don't know what I was really expecting. Dominic lived in Ullapool, like, when you were what? Like,
I visited it when I was very small, but I lived there for about 3 or 4 months.
It's very high in the Highlands.
Like, mid-1994.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something like mid-1994, very early 1995.
And his great-grandmother is, like, one of the founding members of the town.
Oh, yeah, because it's quite a new town.
Yeah, for Britain, anyway, yeah. No, I was very surprised about that. Like, the buildings in Ullapool do not look that old compared to a lot of the places in Britain. I didn't realize that it was... Like, when Dominic's great-grandmother lived there, like, that was basically the start of the town. Of it, yeah. And it was a fishing village, right?
It was a fishing village on Loch Broom, yeah.
Yeah.
That was where the cruise ship was parked.
So we pulled in.
Yeah, and, you know, I was telling her, oh, there's going to be this great, because we're going to come in, there's only one road into Ullapool and one road out.
And Dominic had not been there since he was, like, a kid. So for, like, what?
30 years
30 years.
Yeah, but this year it'll be 30 years.
Yeah.
So I was remembering, there's this great thing, we're going to see the loch and the village as we come in. And so it comes out the trees, and then we round the bend, and there's this big bloody cruise ship there. And I was like, where did that come? You know, what? Because I was like, are they allowed in?
Yeah.
And it was the loch is pretty deep. But when I was a kid, there was that wasn't allowed. It was just fishing boats, and that was it.
Yeah.
It's like the cruise ships had to park out, you know, in the, I guess what we call the North Atlantic, I guess, or the Irish Sea, or something, whatever, you know.
You're kind of like, as you're getting toward Ullapool, the road becomes really windy.
And the roads have improved. The roads used to be horrible out there. It was like very potholy, and you know, the last one the last time they were repaired was when Cicero was on the throne. You know? So,
Well, from Glasgow to Inverness, it was kind of a straight-ish road, you know? It wasn't like the windy British roads that we think of when we think of
it's
driving in Britain. It was kind of like, it wasn't, you know, it was kind of a straight shot in a way, like,
it's a straight shot.
And so you could really
Northwest,
see the scenery a lot because there wasn't like, but on the way to Ullapool, you're like turning every 5 seconds, turning. So you couldn't really see, like, because there's trees and stuff. You couldn't really see you couldn't really see for a while, like, for a distance. Yeah. There was no, like, good views for, like, where you could
like
see
forest
off in the...
and stuff,
Yeah, because you're, like, zoom, up and down hills and around corners and blah, blah, blah. So then when you're almost there, it just suddenly opens up and there's all these mountains and a huge lake, which looks like kind of like a bay in the ocean, like it's very huge.
Yeah, that's.
And there was a giant cruise ship, and I was like, "What?" It was so like, I don't know. It was just so jarring. Like
it was surreal. Yeah, because I looked at it, and I was like, "There's a cruise ship," and he was like, "Oh yeah." The driver was like, "Oh yeah, cruise ship." Like, and you know, Mamie as well, my cousin who we met up with later on. She goes, "Oh yeah, they've been coming in here for years now." Yeah. I was like, when I was a kid, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and so his...
But it's like, tourism. It's, you know, they've opened up the loch.
And so the main part of town is, like, on this main street right across from the loch. That's most of town, and there's a few streets, like, behind that, where there's some houses and a cemetery, which we did go visit.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dominic's got some family buried in that cemetery.
Yeah, the whole...
But other than that,
there's not a lot.
It was very, very teeny, tiny. Just the absolute most beautiful place you've ever seen, though. Just absolutely gorgeous. And it was foggy. It was foggy, it was very, very atmospheric.
The rain, you know, it's like, sorry about the weather and all that, you know, we haven't got the greatest
of weather. It was just foggy and it was so good. Just like, it was just such a different vibe. Everything was gray and like, but it was so quiet. And then there was a big freaking cruise ship. Like, it was just...
And the cruise ship was tendering all these, like, tourists on.
Yeah, so Dominic's cousin, one of his family members picked us up from the bus station and, like, drove us
around,
drove us around a tour of town, which took about 5 minutes.
About 4.5, I'd say.
And she made us breakfast. She was just so
and she was like, "Oh, you'll be wanting breakfast." I said, "Oh, that's fine. We'll go get some." No, I'll make you breakfast.
Yes.
A Highland breakfast.
What do you want? I've got this and I've got
bacon,
that.
sausage. Yeah. We'll just have a bacon sandwich. It's fine. You know. Yes. I want to put her out.
She was so sweet.
Yeah.
And she gave us a little tour around town.
Yeah.
And then later on, we met up with some more of his family, and we went to eat in an inn.
Hotel.
A hotel.
It was the...
I thought it was the Caledonian Inn. Oh, it was a hotel. Yeah.
Caledonia Hotel, yeah. And they were it was a carvery, which if you
explain what that is.
That's a roast. It's basically like a buffet style. Oh, like cafeteria maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you would. Basically, there's
I can't
your choice
remember.
of roast meat.
Did they serve us or did we get it? That's the only difference.
They serve us the meat and we get the veg.
Okay,
I think.
So like a combination cafeteria buffet.
Yeah. So that's what a carvery is. You know, you go for it on Sunday and it's like a roast. It's a roast meal. It's like roast beef or roast chicken or roast turkey.
Yeah.
Or pork. Mm-hmm. And then you get your choice of veg, which would be like roast potatoes, mashed potato, you know, swede, carrots, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, gravy. And Yorkshire pudding, obviously. So they were all going, we want to check this out. I want to see if this carvery is up to snuff. Because they've got a new chef in here now, and I've heard the people, you know, I was in here the other night, and someone was eating mussels or something. I think he said someone was eating mussels
and they said they were so good.
They were so good. So I was like, okay, the carvery's not going to be bad. And bear in mind, we're in Scotland, which is one of the most, you know, people will complain about anything. there. So I was like, okay.
It's part of their tradition.
It's tradition to complain about it. So we got the curry, and it was beef.
Yeah.
And you absolutely loved it.
It was fabulous. It was roast beef. It was cooked to perfection.
Cooked to perfection for you.
Yeah.
The red. I thought it was a little bit like, too red for my taste. And my family, because they we all share that trait, apparently, is like...
burn it to a crisp.
Burn it up, So we had that, and I remember Mary was like, oh, send this. Can you just send this one? A wee flash. Wee flash in the pan there,
Yeah.
just to make sure it's deed. Make sure it's deed.
Yes.
And, so I didn't do that. I just ate. And I thought it was nice, Just sitting there going, oh. I don't know. It wasn't that great.
Oh, wouldn't come back here.
Wouldn't come back here. Very, very critical.
I thought it was fabulous. It was delicious.
Yeah.
The
only thing I could complain about was our dessert, which was like a rhubarb.
Well, the Yorkshire puddings also
crumble.
were like
the Yorkshire pudding. Yeah, that was a complaint.
And it's
like if
Yorkshire's,
you're going to do it,
they're not that difficult to make.
Not that difficult to make, and it's like that's kind of like people will come back for the Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah.
And nothing else,
So, yeah, you got rhubarb crumble. None of you guys liked that much either.
No, it wasn't that great. It was a bit of custard with it, but it was just kind of like...
My sticky toffee pudding was fine.
Yeah, you got sticky toffee.
It did have
I wish I got it now.
It did have bits of date in, which I just hadn't had before. It didn't affect the taste at all.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, it has dates in anyway, but they weren't like crushed or, anything. It was quite big pieces of date.
Yeah, like raisin, they were big, chewy bites. Fine. And then after that, she said, oh, let's go have a little walk. Let's go walk off our food a bit, have a little walk out to the pier or whatever.
Down to the pier, yeah.
And so we walked past this other hotel, which just so happened that Dominic's grandparents had built. It's a giant place, like hotel and restaurant. We didn't go in there. I don't know why we didn't go in.
The locals have shunned it.
Yeah.
Because it's a tourist trap.
It's been taken over
it's very expensive.
It's been taken over by
a corporation.
By a corporation, by a business rather than a person. So the locals apparently they're like, oh no,
my
it's
family
terrible.
at one point owned it.
Mm-hmm. They built it apparently.
They built it.
Yeah.
But it's no longer obviously owned by the family or anything. But it was like, no, we're not. Nobody goes in there because the prices are just too expensive. It's for the tourists.
Yeah.
And of course, they were coming in and they were streaming in.
And as we were walking past, there's a woman standing right there. And she's kind of like, she has her phone out. And she's obviously like making a FaceTime call with the hotel restaurant behind her. Look. Can you see where I am? I'm in Ullapool in her like full on American accent. I was like, can I not escape these people anywhere I go?
Came here to get away from you.
I'm all the way in the depths of the Highlands in Scotland, and still they find me.
Still they find you on their cruise ships. Can't get away from them. Can't escape.
It's just so funny. I've seen other people comment on that before, like for some reason, like when you're traveling,
because there's this. I mean, it's obviously like the tourist trade has started up. It's like, and more people are traveling because of the internet. Yeah. Like if this was like 30 years ago, you're not going to see too many Americans
in
wandering around Ullapool.
Yeah,
like where's that? Don't need to go there.
Yeah,
Edinburgh, yes.
Well, we talked
Glasgow,
about
maybe,
that Ullapool used to be a fishing village. It doesn't, I guess, really do fishing anymore.
No.
It's just
no money in fish
it's just
anymore.
tourism now. Like people who want to go
hiking.
What do they call that? Rambling holidays and
that's who
camping
and it was popular with the European, like the Dutch and the Norwegians and Scandinavians and stuff. They'd come over.
Oh yeah.
To ramble about. That was the only tourism they got. Yeah. Because my auntie Kathy used to take in lodgers and stuff like that. Or lodgers, or just B&B and all that. Travelers, yeah, and they'd usually be from
backpackers. That's what your cousin was saying. Yeah.
Backpackers, and they'd just be like, hiking around the Highlands, up and down the hills and having a great time. But now, cruise ships are coming up.
Yeah.
And like, we're doing a cruise around Britain. We'll stop in Ullapool and you can just go in Ullapool and just
I definitely
do a FaceTime.
I 100% would love to go back and do some exploring around there because
I mean it's really a driving.
You can see the walking and like hiking paths up the sides of the mountains in the distance, and I'm just like, yes, I want to do that. Like, it just looks so good and fun. And
my uncle said the drive up there's horrendous, but if I flew up to Inverness and rented a car, that would be more bearable.
Yeah.
Because, you've...
Well, driving all the way from Wales.
Wales, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we flew, so...
We flew up to Glasgow, but we still,
Yeah.
We hopped it, didn't we,
But there's no telling what kind of little moon calves and everything you might come across wandering around the mountains.
She loves to do an exploring in Hogwarts Legacy. If you haven't played that, you should play it. It's a very good game.
Oh my gosh.
We'll talk about that in a later episode anyways.
Yes.
Because
we're well over time.
Well over time here. You're getting like an hour podcast.
We
here,
definitely.
So be...
Well, I think that pretty much
sums it up.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Edinburgh next time.
Oh yeah, Edinburgh will be its own podcast. But yeah, so it basically started raining and we were absolutely filled to the brim with lunch. So we just went to a little corner shop.
Yes.
There's no grocery store, is there? Where do they get their groceries
Tesco.
in Ullapool?
There is a one. We went past it. Do you remember?
Tesco?
Yeah, there was a Tesco.
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was up outside. It was on the back of the village, and
out by the cemetery.
Round about there.
Yeah. Okay. No, I don't remember seeing. I don't think I did see it actually.
Yeah, and that's new. That's been since I was there. Because before, when I lived there, there was that place that we went to. I think it's closed now because everything's closed. And she was pointing out everything that was closed. There's like a little place, and it was just like a general store. I remember going there with my nana. And just picking out all the stuff.
There were a couple of tourist shops. I mean, gift shops.
Gift shops, yeah. And it's like we went in there, and my cousin's like, "What a load of old tat."
Yes.
It's like, just tat. And
fish and chips and ice cream, all the things that the tourists would want. The thing is there's not a lot to see as far as, like, buildings-wise. I love to see old churches and old
truly like
everything. It's just the nature village. You're going to see.
The nature, yes.
And I 1000% recommend going to Ullapool just to see that. I was like, just standing around outside, I was like, how do the people who live here and work here get anything done? Like, how do they get anything done? Because I would just be standing outside just like with my jaw open, just looking around all day, every day. It's very, very surreal. It's a very surreal
life.
Little place. It's just it's
like a little tiny village. And it's even,
with mountains and
it's on the North Coast 500.
Loch.
People might know what that is, the North Coast 500.
Yeah.
That's another thing of tourism.
Yeah.
Right there, so...
But yeah, so we just went to the corner store and got, I think, some Iron Brew and...
Iron Brew and biscuits. I think we got biscuits.
Yeah, something. We were just like, oh.
Yeah.
And then we went back to our little B&B and we spent the night and then got up and left, like, pretty much first thing in the morning again.
And we took us to the
And we'll pick up there.
We'll pick up there in the next one.
Time,
yeah.
Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in, especially if you made it thus far.
Thus far, yes.
We really appreciate you. Shout out to our patrons for their continued support. We really appreciate you guys. Be sure to give us a follow on social media if you don't already. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of the places, and we'll talk to you all next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.